Hello everybody, I think we're live streaming. It says stop streaming, 4 seconds, 5 seconds. I think we are live streaming again. Hello, how you doing? We've already got one comment on the chat. Marty, already saw it but can't wait for your reaction. Well, it's going to come in a minute, don't worry. I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes like we did last week. Just to make sure that we are definitely, we're definitely going to get a few people coming on watching just before we start talking about what actually happened in the episode. If you haven't seen the episode already, then don't carry on watching because we're going to be talking about everything that went on in the episode. I'll give it a couple of minutes just to let anyone come and watch. I know that I've already scheduled some tweets going on to Twitter. Super John 64, I love the intro. We're going to be talking about that. Don't say anything yet. We're going to be talking about it, don't worry. I've made sure that I've written some notes on my phone. We're going to talk about some of the things that I want to chat about. There's lots and lots to talk about. Episode 2, lots of stuff to talk about. We've got Marty, we've got Super John 64, the two people who've commented so far. If you are watching and you have any interesting thoughts, you have any opinions on what I'm saying, then by all means do leave a comment. I've got the live chat. Super John, have not seen it, but it's playing in the background. Super John 64, if you don't want to be spoiled about what happened on today's episode, then stop watching. I'd love for you to carry on watching, but we are going to be talking in full spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled at all, or you want to watch it properly later on, Ace Creeper, hello mate, how you doing? We're live streaming. It's the second live stream that I've done. It's a bit crazy. Yeah, I really enjoyed live streaming last week. Like I say, I'm just going to give it a few more minutes just to make sure if anyone's going to come in from Twitter, I've scheduled some tweets. They can come in. We're going to be talking about it. Super John 64, I'm fine. Cool. Carry on watching then. You can join in. I know you had it on in the background, but if you've got any comments, then by all means let us know what you think. Ace Creeper, you're watching. I hope you're watching. You commented. I know that your review's not out till, what, tomorrow? So if you've got any comments that you want to share, then by all means do, without spoiling your own review, because I'll be watching yours tomorrow when it comes out. Right, I'll give it till 33, and then we'll get going. I've written a load of notes on my phone. I basically just spent a good 10-15 minutes after the episode writing down thoughts, writing down what I thought about what was going on, and we're going to talk about that any minute now. If you do want to share the link with anyone, then by all means do it now before we start talking. Any of your mates you like Doctor Who, send them a quick Facebook message with the link on. The new TARDIS is sexy. Super John 64, we're going to talk about that in a minute. Stop jumping the gun. Right, 33, I'm just going to start live streaming. If anybody else joins, then they're welcome to. All you guys who are watching right now, feel free to comment down below with any thoughts that you have whilst we're talking. Dan's so excited for the live stream. Can't wait to hear what you think about the new TARDIS and the new thing. Right, okay, let's get going. Because clearly you guys want to hear what I think. So, right, I've got my notes down here. We're going to start. So, there's two main things that I get the impression that anyone watching it live, there's two elephants in the room. The new TARDIS and the new intro. We're going to talk about both of those first because I don't feel like we can not talk about those first. So we're going to talk about the new intro first because that happened first, if that makes sense. So what do I think of the new intro? It's good. I was pleasantly surprised. I had no idea what to expect. I'd read some things in the week that said they were a bit psychedelic, which I agree with, but I really liked them actually. I wasn't sure what to expect. The thing that I wrote down on my notes, which is something that I want to address, I want to start this off positively, but I do just want to say, the little clip that they announced the new logo with earlier on in the year, the bit with the TARDIS flying through and that created sort of the line through the middle of the logo, I kind of preferred that. John Smith did the new intro. Did he? I didn't know that. John Smith, for you guys who don't know, is that YouTuber who does a lot of really, really cool VFX. Loads of Doctor Who videos. He did that Wholock, I think. He also did a bit in Twice Upon a Time. So I didn't know that. I can kind of see that. Yeah, so did I like the new intro? Yes, I did. Was it what I was expecting? No, it wasn't. Is that a bad thing? Not necessarily. The only thing that I would say, the reason why I particularly liked that clip that they announced the new logo with, was the fact that it explained why the line went through the logo, and it was very clever. I liked the fact that the TARDIS was creating that line through the logo. They've kind of got rid of that idea now, which is fair enough, but I don't know. I liked the sort of intro starts with sort of like a bubble popping sort of thing. I need to watch it again. I've purposely not watched it at all since it was out, just because I want this to be my instant reactions, my fresh opinions. I did like the new intro. It's going to take a bit of getting used to. It's very different from anything that we've had before. But in terms of VFX, it was great. I don't think you can complain at all in terms of how it looks. It looks great. It's just very different, and something that I think, for me personally, I feel like I've definitely got to spend some time just getting used to it. I'm sure by the end of the series we will have got used to it. Also, it just started with the intro as well. They didn't have any sort of teaser. I wonder whether that is actually the meaning behind... Was it Radio Times? Someone did like 10 teasers for the episode. They saw it ahead. And the first teaser was that there is no teaser. I wonder whether that was the thing. I thought it could be the next time trailer is missing, but maybe it just starts with the title sequence now. I don't know. The answer to the first question, the first main elephant in the room... I liked the title sequence. I did. I actually did. I've got used to the new intro now. Last week in the live stream, I wasn't 100% convinced by the new intro, the music, I mean. I kind of like it now, not going to lie. It's still taking a little while to grow on me, purely because it's just so new. The whole thing is just so different. But I like it. I like it. Right, now the next thing, we are going to go back and talk about everything in the episode, but I'm just going to address the other main thing, which is the TARDIS. The new TARDIS interior. By the way, we've got some comments. We've got Falconer Vlogs. Do you like the robots and the monster robe things? I'm going to talk about that. Craig Groombridge. Just a load of laughing faces. I hope that's a good thing. I hope you're not laughing at me in a bad way. What did I think of the new TARDIS interior? I liked it. I did like it. Again, very similarly to the title sequence, it was very different. Really, really different. The only thing I'd say is the way that it was shot, it didn't feel quite as revealing as in the 11th hour when they first revealed the new TARDIS in the 11th hour, and also in the Snowmen as well. Quite a lot of close-up shots, and I found it quite difficult to get my bearings on where certain things were in the new TARDIS, if that makes sense. I did like it though. It's very different. I particularly thought was interesting. They had like one of those. I can't think. If you know what I'm talking about, comment please. One of the sand things, one of the time things where you turn it and then it and then the sand goes through. You know the thing in terms of timing stuff? I can't think what it's called off the top of my head. It's the pressure of live streaming. If you know what I'm talking about, then please comment down below so that I know what the word is. Marty has commented, I mean, I get that they are trying new things with the new budget. They are okay. The story was simple, a bit fast and jumpy, but the characters in the last 15 minutes made a great episode for me. Right, great. We're going to talk about that. Don't spoil anything yet. We're going to carry on. So yeah, the TARDIS is very different. I like it. I feel like it's got elements of Matt Smith's first TARDIS in it. Hourglass. Yes, Stephanie Neuer. If that's how to pronounce your last name, I might have just murdered your last name. Stephanie Neuer. Hourglass. That is exactly what I'm talking. Dan, Egg Timer. Close. I think it is called an Egg Timer as well. An Hourglass, Egg Timer. That's what I was talking about. I liked the fact that that turned. I'm guessing that's going to be when they're travelling in time, possibly. Something like that. Super John 64. Hey. Glad you're watching. Like I say, comment down below with any opinions you have on anything I'm saying. So yeah, I liked the TARDIS. I thought it was very interesting to see the new TARDIS. Bit of Matt Smith's first TARDIS. I actually managed to avoid all of the spoiled images. I didn't see any of the leaked images of the TARDIS. I've seen it when I've been flicking down Twitter. but I've purposely tried to not look at it, if that makes sense. So I've seen it and gone, whoa, okay, I don't want to see that. That's kind of how I've handled it. So I didn't really know what it was going to look like at all. And I like it. I like it a lot. I think similarly to the title sequence, it is going to take a bit of getting used to. Doctor Who fans are notorious for not quite accepting change very well, and yeah, it is going to take some getting used to, but I think it is good. It's just going to take a bit of time to getting used to. I'd like to get a full-on wide shot of the TARDIS with all the TARDIS crew stood in there, because I didn't really feel like we got one. That's one thing I would say. I felt like all the shots when they first walked in were quite close up. It was focusing very much on the Doctor. The TARDIS mixes Matt Smith's interior with the outside, and the outside is the classic look. That's Super John 64. Yeah, I agree. I particularly like the exterior. Obviously, I saw the exterior when I was in Sheffield earlier in the year when we met Jodie, so I knew what the exterior was going to look like months and months ago, and I've had a lot of time for that to grow on me, a lot. Ewan Ward, hey again, James, hello, welcome back to the live stream. You were here last time. It's great getting you guys commenting, by the way. If you do want to let me know any of your opinions, then by all means, if you've got any questions about what I'm talking about, then by all means comment down below and I'll try my best to answer them. Right, okay, so now we've got those two out of the way. We've got the TARDIS out of the way, we've got the title sequence out of the way. We can get back to that if you've got any questions. The main things that I really liked about the episode. Number one, I really liked the characters again. Obviously, Chibnall wrote this episode as well as last week's. It goes without saying, he is particularly good at writing characters, particularly the main title sequence. I thought, not title sequence, the main TARDIS team. You've got the Doctor, Graham, Ryan, and Yaz. They were all very good. Super John 64 thought the intro was good, thought the theme was fantastic. We've also got Stephen watching as well. He says hi. Hello, Stephen. How you doing? TARDIS sexy, says Super John 64. Yeah, the characters were really well done. I really liked some of the exchanges between the characters. We're going to talk about that in a minute. They feel human, and that is the thing I like. That is the thing that lots of people have said about the first episode, The Woman Who Fell to Earth. They feel human, and I think that really works. With Clara and Amy and Rory, in my opinion, it was a bit hit and miss under Stephen Moffat's tenure. It was sometimes believable and sometimes not, the way that the characters acted. This time, I particularly, I can't remember exactly what was said, but they were talking about whether they were confused or not, and it just went to companion to companion to companion, and got to Graham, and he was like, I am completely confused. I thought that was particularly funny. So yeah, I really liked the characters. The other thing that really stood out for me in this episode was the setting. Obviously, it was filmed in South Africa. The setting was great. Just the location, they would not have got that in Wales or anywhere in the UK for that matter. They did a really good job with filming in South Africa. I think it looks so cinematic, so great. You can believe that it is an alien planet as well. So yeah, I really did like the setting. Now, there are a few things that I wanted to mention that aren't bad, but I was less enthusiastic about. The first thing was that I wasn't overly keen on the story. I've written here that it was a really good premise. I like the fact of the whole space race thing. The custard cream thing was a nice Easter egg, said Marty. I agree. That was funny. I've got to admit, that was a good little nod for any fans that have been watching, obviously, for quite a few years now. I thought it was a good premise, the story. The space race was a clever idea. The way it started and it was set out, I thought this could be really interesting. It could be quite tense at times. I didn't think it was executed quite as well as it could have been. And I'll tell you why. The two characters, Armstrong and Epso, I think they were called, there was competitiveness between them, but there wasn't a whole lot of competitiveness between them. I felt like it could have been more competitive. I felt like they could have been a bit more against each other. They were, but at times it felt slightly fake, if that makes sense. I didn't think it was that believable, the competition element. and that was a shame. I really, really liked the concept. It was executed okay, but I didn't think it was executed quite as well as it could have been. I don't want these reviews to be me saying, oh my god, it was amazing, it was all great, because realistically, not every episode is great. The second episode, it's going to be tough. After the great first episode last week, it was always going to be tough. And that was my thing, that was my feeling. That was my feeling about this week's story. We've got a few comments to read out. Marty, I'm enjoying Jodie way more than I thought. Marty's been watching since 2006, so since they were 8. Super John 64, I've been watching Doctor Who since 3 years old. Flippin' heck. I don't know how, I think I was like 9, 10, something like that. So yeah, I didn't think it was executed quite as well as it could have been. I felt the TARDIS scene was rushed a little. The Doctor didn't really explain what it does and how it does it. In my opinion, I prefer the way that the TARDIS was introduced in the 11th hour. And that's saying something, because I do prefer, I prefer Chibnall's Doctor Who to Stephen Moffat, but I don't know. I think it was the lack of wide shots, and again, I'll need to watch it again to properly get a good idea of what I'm actually talking about here. I didn't feel like it was quite as slow as it could have been. Newer viewers, I had a lot in mind, and I was thinking, are they going to fully take all this in? It's happening so quickly. I hope they do. We'll have to see. I hope that in the start of episode 3 we get a bit of a better look at the TARDIS. Maybe a little bit of a slower sequence that the Doctor can just understand how it works, what she's doing. But as Marty said a couple of minutes ago, the custard cream thing was funny, and I've got to admit that was funny. Ewan Ward, what did you think about the TARDIS being the Ghost Monument as a plot point? I really liked that. I've got to admit, I read on Twitter earlier in the week that a lot of people had that impression that the Ghost Monument could have been the TARDIS. I really liked it. I liked the fact that they said it only appears every so-and-so. It was kind of like a legend on the planet. Again, I feel like it could have possibly been done a little bit better than it was. But honestly, as a plot point, I really, really liked that. It gave the story an end goal right from the beginning. And I think that was a really, really good thing. I think you spent the whole episode knowing exactly where the characters were going to be going. In fact, whilst I was watching it, I got a lot of like the Doctor's daughter vibes in this episode. The fact that there's a journey, they're kind of working out what happened to the people on the planet, how it happened, which I feel like was touched on, but could have been touched on more, in my opinion. The history of the planet. It could have been done better in a way similar to Planet of the Dead, when they find out what happened to all the planet and how it all got turned into sand. Obviously, that was an hour long. This was only 50 minutes. So you've got to cut certain bits out in that 10 minutes. But yeah, that's another thing I would possibly say. Marty, I kind of saw it coming. I'm so scared that they were playing hide and seek again with the TARDIS. To be honest, I liked it. I did see it come in terms of the TARDIS being the Ghost Monument. I didn't mind. I didn't mind at all. I didn't feel like it was a major thing that they wanted to keep secret. You could have kind of guessed it, and a lot of people did. I didn't have a problem with that. Watching the episode, when they confirmed it, I just thought it was, oh, fair enough, that everyone was right on Twitter. The only other negative thing that I will say is that both monsters, and I'm saying monsters in inverted commas, the sort of, I don't even know how to describe it. The things that are floating in the air. I don't know what the official name for it is. I haven't looked online at all since the episode's come out. So if there is an official name, by all means, I think they're called ribbons, I think. But comment down below if you know the answer to that. The ribbons and the robot people on the abandoned water park. Fun fact, that was an abandoned water park. Were good. I didn't feel like they were as developed as they could have been, in my opinion. There wasn't... The robots... obviously they were part of the game. The ribbons, were they there? Were they the reason why everyone died out on the planet? Were they part of the race? Were they put there because of the race? I don't know. Did they latch on to the guy because he had been shot? And I'm pretty sure the Doctor said at one point that it was something to do with them. It was the fact that he was injured that they locked onto him particularly. That's the only thing I'd say. I don't think the monster was defined well, and I don't think it was developed well either. Tim Shaw from last week, a lot of people didn't like Tim Shaw. Tim Shaw, at least you knew exactly what he was, what race he was, what his intentions were. With the monsters this week, the robots weren't really monsters, but the monsters, the robot and the ribbons, they were okay. I don't feel like they were developed as well as they could have been. That's the only thing I would say. Now, moving on to highlights. I just wanted to mention those negative comments. If you have got any opinions, if you disagree with me at all, comment down below. Let me know. I want to know what you think. Now, what highlights do I have about the episode? I particularly liked the scene where they were fixing the boat. In particular, the conversation between Ryan and Graham. I really liked how they were talking about Grace. They didn't just brush over it, they were talking about Grace. To be honest, that scene where Graham was saying to Ryan, you need to address what you're feeling, you need to actually talk about it. The way that Ryan responded to that, considering he's 19 years old, that's 1 year younger than me, I feel like that was really realistic, the way that he reacted to that. I do feel like that was written very, very well. That is exactly, in my opinion, how a 19-year-old guy would respond to that. And I really, really liked that. You can see the little threads that are being sewn in that are going to come in and out throughout the series. I feel like the fact that Ryan will not address how he's feeling and the fact that Graham wants him to will be increasingly mentioned throughout the series. I really, really liked that scene. The other thing that I really, really liked about the episode was the drone shots. There were quite a few aerial shots in the episode, and they were really, really cinematic. Particularly the one where they were walking up to the abandoned water park sort of monument structure thing. I felt that, actually watching that, I thought it looks like a film. It honestly looks like a film. The setting, the fact that they didn't need to build those sets must have been an absolute miracle for the team behind the scenes. It looked really, really great. Ewan says, what did you think about the Stenza reappearing? Do you think this will be a main plot point throughout the season? And do you think Tim Shaw will return? I'm going to mention that in a minute. I'll come back to that. Keep watching. That's a couple of points down. Ryan and Graham's relationship, like I already mentioned, I really, really, really liked. The TARDIS reveal, that was another highlight, particularly before the Doctor actually went into the TARDIS. I really liked the bit where she was like, we're stuck. The TARDIS isn't here, we're stuck. Everyone had left them, it was just the four of them stranded there, and then it appeared and she walked up. I particularly liked the shot from the side where you could see her looking at it. She looked at the little new plate thing on the door, which I thought was really nice, and she was like, oh, you've redecorated, oh my god, I like it. And then she said she'd forgotten her key. She didn't have a key anymore, and then it just unlocked for her. I really thought that was really nice. Obviously, walking into the TARDIS, that whole sequence was great as well, but I particularly liked the emotion. I really felt like you felt for the Doctor. You felt for the fact it genuinely did feel like she was absolutely relieved to finally have the TARDIS there. I really did feel for her, actually, in that sequence, and I thought that was really, really good. Now, getting on to the story arc. We've got what seems to be a story arc. Like Ewan just mentioned then, what do I think about the Stenza reappearing? The Stenza were mentioned again. As soon as they were mentioned, I knew that that was Tim Shaw's race. I knew ahead of time from reading some spoiler-free reviews that there was going to be a story arc involved somewhere in this episode. I assume it's the Stenza thing. I would assume, to answer your next question, Ewan, that we may well see Tim Shaw return. If we don't, I think it is very likely that we will see the Stenza return in some context. Marty's just commented, by the way, I liked Tim Shaw. I liked Tim Shaw as well. The first time I watched the episode, when I was doing the review last week, I thought, meh, he's okay. I thought it's quite a run-of-the-mill monster. the more I've watched it, I've actually watched it, I've watched it like 6 times now, The Woman Who Fell to Earth. And every time I've watched it, I've liked him even more. And I've started to think, you know what, actually I do quite like the monster. I really, really like the fact that he puts the teeth in him. I think that's a particularly weird thing and a particularly alien thing. And you know what, I would be more than happy for the Stenza to return this series. And to be honest, I think they will. I really do. I don't know why they would have mentioned the Stenza again unless something has got to happen. The fact that, I don't know which one, Armstrong, the woman, her wife was killed by the Stenza. So was Grace, kind of. And they had that moment, Graham and Angstrom, or Epso, I can't remember which one's which. They had that moment. I felt like this is too prominent for the Stenza not to return. Something is going to happen with the Stenza. That is my prediction. I feel like something will happen. You and Ward, do you think they'll collect teeth, or do you think some may be creepier with like toes or something? That is interesting. You should be behind the scenes for Doctor Who, Ewan. That is very interesting. That did cross my mind, actually, when the episode was on. I was thinking, if the Stenza are going to return, and there's going to be more than one of them, are they all going to look like Tim Shaw? Is it going to be part of their upbringing that they are told to take the teeth of their victim? Or is that just something that Tim Shaw does? Are they all going to be blue? Are they going to be different colours? I particularly like the idea that Ewan just said, which was that they have different sort of body parts that they collect. So some might collect toes or toenails or something. That could be interesting. Fingernails, toenails, teeth. That could be interesting. I think you're onto something there. That could be really creepy. I know they've said there isn't going to be a proper finale. I'm kind of hoping the fact that Chris Chibnall has lied, he has quite obviously lied about the fact that there's going to be a story arc. Clearly there is going to be some kind of story arc. They wouldn't have mentioned the Stenza again for no reason, in my opinion. I think if there is going to be any kind of finale, I kind of hope that there's going to be a 2-part finale at the end. The Stenza may return. If they are done well, they could be really, really good. We've got a lot of comments. Michael Donington, 100% put money on Bradder's death at the end of this series. I've read that already online. It's not too much of a shout. I did see, I can't remember where I saw this. It could have been on a YouTube video. It could have been somewhere on Twitter. Someone saying the fact, I don't know why they would have added 3 friends for the Doctor if they had no intention of something dramatic happening to at least one of them. We know already that Chris Chibnall obviously isn't afraid to kill people. I think, yeah, you could be onto something there, Michael. Another thing that you could say is the fact that obviously maybe that's the whole point. Maybe we're meant to think that Graham is going to die at the end of the series and then something else happens. Maybe Yaz will die, or maybe Ryan will die. It's going to be very interesting. But I definitely think you might be onto something there. Marty, imagine if they start collecting eyeballs. That could also be interesting for the Stenza. In my opinion, if they're going to go on that line of different body parts for different Stenza warriors, I would personally like them to stay to sort of weird, obscure things, not like eyeballs. Imagine a face with eyeballs all over. That might look a bit weird. They've got to sort of keep their general shape, because obviously they're all the same species. I think it would be really interesting if they had teeth, fingernails, toenails. That could be really, really interesting. I can't think of any other body part that's sort of as weird as fingernails and teeth. Dan has commented, I think they could be a good alien threat. A race as strong as the Daleks, or like the Borg on Star Trek. I've never watched Star Trek, so I have no clue what the Borg are. I don't know if the Stenza could be as strong as the Daleks, I'll be honest. The Daleks are obviously the most famous villain in Doctor Who. It would be interesting to see how they could be developed. I think just the one episode, it was tough. It was an hour long. It was tough to develop them, as well as introduce all the main friends and the Doctor, and kill off Graham's wife. But I think given maybe another episode or maybe a two-parter at the end of the series, the Stenza could become really, really threatening. Especially if they end up killing not just Grace, but possibly Graham. Or possibly two friends. It could be they could kill Ryan and Graham. I have no clue. I think that could be really interesting. I think, yeah, I would put money on the Stenza returning. And I'll kill. I'll kill myself if I'm wrong. I won't really, by the way. That was a bit dramatic, but I'll kick myself. That's a better phrase. I'll kick myself. I'll kick myself if I'm wrong. But I get the feeling, this is my prediction, the Stenza are going to come back. Okay, the Stenza are going to come back, I think. Michael Donington, the Timeless Child. I didn't really hear that bit. I don't know whether that was just... I listened to it with headphones on. I don't know whether that was just me, the fact that I couldn't quite hear what that sort of weird ribbon creature was saying to the Doctor. I assume it was talking about when she was younger, when she was on Gallifrey, the Timeless Child. I don't know. Marty, maybe they pull an Avengers and everybody dies. Could be very interesting. If all three of them die... could be one of the most dramatic finales or final episodes of the series that we have. So yeah, right, now I'm just going to sum up. We've been live streaming for half an hour now, so I'm just going to sum up. Feel free to carry on commenting. Philip Hawkins, despite what the producers have kept saying about there not being story arcs, I think this proves they were lying. I agree. I also think we now need to think... They said there were no returning villains. Maybe there will be. Maybe there will be Daleks. Maybe there will be Cybermen, potentially. Also, the fact that they said there were no two-parters. Maybe they were lying. Maybe they want people to tune in, and then when there is a cliffhanger, they say, whoa, okay, we need to watch next week now. Possibly. That could be very interesting. Ewan. Maybe Graham, Ryan, Yaz and the Doctor will become a target for the Stenza's hunt. That could be very interesting as well. It might feel a bit like they're recycling that story, though, if they carry on with that hunt thing. I would like to see the Stenza in a different light. Possibly maybe on the Stenza home world, possibly. Possibly on Earth again, where Tim Shaw returns. I think Tim Shaw has proven himself to be a huge hit with the fan base, in my opinion. So I think that could be very interesting. Philip Hawkins, I have an out-of-the-box random speculation on what the Timeless Child is that I've speculated on in my new review video. Well, thanks for plugging your review video in my comments, Philip. I will watch it when it comes out. Marty, it could be, because it seems like they put the Doctor up for a deeper emotional connection with her new friends. If they kill everybody off, then... Yeah, I agree. I think the Doctor is going to become particularly attached to Graham, Yaz and Ryan. If any of them die, it's going to be very dramatic. So what are my overall thoughts? I'm going to sum up what I think. The episode was good. It was good. I don't feel like it was as good as The Woman Who Fell to Earth. Having watched The Woman Who Fell to Earth 6 times, yes, 6 times now, I really like The Woman Who Fell to Earth, and I don't feel like The Ghost Monument was as good. It was good, but it wasn't as good. Yoza2781. I'd love to see the Doctor at a fancy party this series. Don't get many of them. Just a party in general? Okay, yeah, sure. That could be interesting. Yeah, it wasn't as good as last week, I'll be honest. I did still enjoy it, though. The story still made sense. There were parts that weren't as developed as others, but it still made sense, which is better than some stories that have gone before in Stephen Moffat's era. It made sense, and I was glad about that. I liked the TARDIS reveal at the end. Great. Philip Hawkins, I wonder if Graham's cancer will come back and he'll die in a very human way at the end of the series. That could be really, really nice. Not nice, but you know what I mean. The fact that you think someone's going to be killed by an alien, and then suddenly it's cancer... It's a kids' show. I don't know whether they'll do that on a kids' show. Maybe, if they do it tastefully, possibly. That would be my only worry. I'm not sure if they do that on a kids' show. I know it's not a kids' show. I second that Salad Man should return. That was Ewan Ward. As much as Salad Man has proven to be a meme this week, I don't think he'll return. Personally, some characters just deserve to stay killed off. And Salad Man, being one of my favourite characters of the series so far, I don't want him coming back. His death was too dramatic for me already. Thank you very much. The story was clever, but it wasn't quite as good as it could have been. It could have been more developed. It could have been. I feel like it could have benefited from the same length as the first episode. The fact that The Woman Who Fell to Earth was an hour long, it could have benefited from being that length, in my opinion. That extra 10 minutes really could have added. A lot to the episode. Marty, I really enjoyed the acting and the character writing. The story was okay-ish. I agree with you. Acting, characters were great. Story was okay. Wasn't as good as last week. Ewan Ward, the Stenza leader, is allergic to tomatoes and kebab. Kebab boy shall return. Okay. You're getting silly now, Ewan. It's funny, though. I do agree. Salad Man is not going to return, though, just for the record. So, yeah, that's what I thought of The Ghost Monument. This live stream has gone on way longer than last week's did. We're now on 35 minutes. I've really, really enjoyed all of you guys commenting. It seems like we've had a lot more people watching this week, and I hope you really enjoyed this live stream. Super John 64, they're cutting the length of episode for episode 11. Really? So, wait, episode 11 is the Christmas special, though. So how are they cutting the length? I thought that would be an hour long. I don't know what you're on about. Super John 64, clarify what you're on about. So yeah, that was my thoughts on The Ghost Monument. I hope you enjoyed watching this. We'll be live streaming again next week. I assume that Rosa, which is episode 3's title, I assume that Rosa will air at the same time, being the same length as today's episode. So I assume it'll be at the same time. I don't know though for sure. If it is at the same time, then this live stream will be at 8:30 again next week. I'll be tweeting about it. My links are in the description, my Twitter and my Snapchat. Make sure you're following those. My Twitter in particular, I will be tweeting, letting you know that the live stream is definitely on at the same time. I'd love for you guys to follow me. Tweet me, let me know what you thought of the episode. Let me know what you thought of the live stream. If you've got any tips about what to do in this live stream, any little segments, then by all means tweet me those. I'll be back again at 8:30 next week. To give my opinions on Rosa Parks. I really, really am looking forward to next week's episode. I particularly like historicals. Michael Donington, I would have liked to see the guy blow up with his cigar. Yeah, he was a bit of a negative character. He survived, which isn't usually the way in Doctor Who. Usually the guys that you don't like die or something happens to them. But, you know, it happens. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to next week's episode. I will be live streaming again next week at 8:30. So I'll see you then. Thanks for commenting, everybody. I really, really enjoyed the interaction today. Make sure you come back next week. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Snapchat. I'll see you next week for my instant reaction of Rosa, episode 3 of series 11 of Doctor Who. I'll see you then, everybody. Goodbye.